What's up, concierge PTs? What is going on? I am gonna wait for some of you guys to come on here and then we're gonna get rolling. But I'm excited about the topic tonight. I'm very excited about the topic tonight because it's something that is definitely near and dear to my heart and something that I've experienced along my way as an entrepreneur. So I can't see those of you for some reason when my computer is doing the live, it lags a little bit, and so I'll say hi to you guys as I see you come on. But I see that there's a few people popping on here, so we're gonna talk about Tyler. Thanks for joining, appreciate it. We're gonna talk about change, and this is something that every single one of you are going to come across as you start your own practice. Ben, thanks for joining. But I want to talk about the price of change. And I'll talk to you about why I'm talking to you about this tonight and why it's so absolutely incredibly important to understand this and to be able to move on from this. So the price of change. I want to start here by telling you guys when I first started my practice in Denver, as I started to network myself and I started to grow my practice, there was one common denominator that continued to happen over and over and over again, is people were always questioning what I was doing. And I'll tell you a story. I decided, you know what? I'm gonna grow this practice. I'm all in on this thing. I'm going to see if I can find myself a business coach. And so I set out to find a business coach, and I found out that there is a service in Denver that is a nonprofit, and basically they help business owners by giving free coaching. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is perfect. I'm gonna go set up an appointment and I'm gonna go see what this all is about. I go and set up the appointment, and I come walking in, and I'll never forget this guy. I'll remember his face for the rest of my life. His name was Art. His name was Art. Much older gentleman, probably in his late 70s, early 80s. And Art was a really, really nice guy. But basically, we sat down, and he told me, Josh, tell me about your ideas for your practice. And I sit down and I start telling him about my ideas of starting a concierge practice, a mobile concierge practice, and how I wanted to escape, get out of my job, and I wanted to start a practice where the patient was put first and that they could pay me cash for their services, and I was going to charge monthly plans because I wanted to be more about wellness than physical therapy. Right? So I'm telling him all of this. Telling him about my plan and what I want to do and what I'm super passionate about. And Art lets me talk for probably about 30 minutes. Real quick before I dive into that, Belisa, thanks for joining. Patrick, Danny, thank you all for joining so much. But I'm with this guy in Denver, this business coach, and I'm telling him everything that I wanted to do. And after about 30 minutes, he finally looks at me and he seems a little perplexed. And he looks at me and he says, Josh, I really don't think this is a good idea for a business. I'll never forget those words. Josh, I really don't think this is a good idea for this business. How many, for those of you watching, how many of you have heard that from a family member, from a friend, from a a mentor? How many of you have heard that from somebody trying to start your business? Well, maybe this cash concierge mobile option is not a good idea. Have any of you guys heard that? If you have, let me know in the comments. I want to know. April, thanks for joining. Eric, thanks for joining. But that's what Art told me that day. And he told me, Josh, on top of that, he said, Josh, I think it's going to be too difficult of a road for you. And I want you to hold on to that. Josh, I think it's been too difficult of a road. It'll be too difficult of a road for you to change the system. And the system was insurance. I think it's going to be too difficult of a road for you to change that system, is what he told me. And he said, you know what? I had an idea a long time ago to absolutely revolutionize the leasing industry for cars. And I realized, honestly, it was just too difficult for me to change everything because the leasing industry has been doing it the way that they've been doing it for a long time now. And he said, I think it was best that I made the decision to not go down that route. And I want you to come in on the key word of, he said it would be too difficult. Too difficult. I want to fast forward you guys all the way to present day. I have another person running my practice, seeing my patients. We basically sold off those patients to him. I'm a full-time coach now. And I'm talking about this topic for a very big reason. And I'm going to talk to you guys really deeply how you can get over this stuff tonight. But what do you think I've been hearing recently about me now becoming a full-time coach? I want you guys to let me know in the comments section. So I just shared with you what people told me before I started my concierge practice. We obviously have had a lot of success since then in Denver. But now that I'm a full-time coach, what do you guys think people are now telling me again? I want you to let me know in the comments. Obviously, this is probably a given, but I'm going to wait until I hear it from somebody. What do you think I'm starting to hear again as I enter a new phase of my career, a new phase of my life, a new time of change? What do you think I'm starting to hear again? So I know my computer's lagging a little bit, so we'll see what you guys say. But there we go. Thank you, Belisa. Thank you, Belisa. It's too hard. No one's going to pay that much, right? Right? Yeah. You know, I was having a conversation with we'll just say a family member the other day. And I told them about what I was doing. And I told them specifically this. I told them that it has been coaching and guiding people on their businesses. I told them has been the biggest, it has been the biggest challenge in my career as of yet. And I've been a PT for almost 7 years. I told that to somebody close to me. And I said, being a business coach has been the biggest challenge as a physical therapist for me in my career yet. And the very, very first thing that person said to me was, well, do you think it would be a good idea maybe to start a concierge practice here then and maybe not go all into that? Not kidding you guys. And I'm going to talk about why this happens. But I had that conversation with someone close to me, you know, a family member of mine, and I tell them about me going full-time into coaching and how I was super, super passionate about it. And I told them that it was one of the most difficult things that I have done in my career as of yet. And then they told me, well, oh wow, well, maybe you should start another concierge practice. And what I told that person was, I said difficult. I didn't say I don't enjoy it. I didn't say that I need to quit. I just said difficult. And as soon as people hear that a path is going to be difficult, that's when they want to help you to take the path of least resistance. I feel like I'm preaching, so can I get an amen? but when people feel that a path is going to be difficult for you, they want to help you go along the path that is of the least resistance. That's what we're meant to do. That's what we all try to do. If my wife has a problem and I see difficulties in her future, I want to help her see the path of least resistance. Am I right? So I had that told to me in Denver as I started my concierge physical therapy practice, we have had a lot of success since then, a lot of success. Then I sell that practice, have somebody else take it over, and I start full-time into this coaching thing as of the last month and a half. And I have that same thing told to me again, that, hey, maybe this isn't a good idea. And the funny thing, the ironic thing is, they literally said, maybe you should do that other thing that you've had a lot of success with, that I was told just 3.5 years ago was a terrible idea. And what I want you guys to understand, that change comes with a price. I want you to understand that change is truly hard for a reason, or else if it were easy, none of us would do it. I mean, I'm sorry, if we knew how truly hard it is, none of us would really ever go down that route. For some reason, we're trained to do what's easy. But here's the thing that I want you guys to understand is, we do not grow unless we have difficulties in our lives. We do not grow in our marriage, honestly, unless we have some difficulties along the way. We do not grow in our business unless we have difficulties along the way. Guess what? Lots of times, if we really want to go full preacher right now, lots of times we don't grow in our faith unless we have difficulties along the way. We don't grow in anything unless we have difficulties along the way. So why is difficulty looked at as such a bad thing in our lives? Everybody wants to be content. Everybody wants to have the easiest life possible. But let's be honest, the easiest life is not usually the most fun life, the most joyous life, the life that really gives back to you and makes you proud to have the life that you have. That only comes when you've been put through difficulties in your life. And I want you to all understand this for a reason, is because I was told that when I started my concierge practice, and I'm being told that now as I'm going full-time into business coaching. And I was told, just because I use that word difficult and challenging, that it wasn't the right route for me right now. But my answer to them was, hey, just because it's difficult and challenging does not mean that I'm saying that I don't enjoy it. I love the challenge. I love it. And I want you guys to understand that the reason why it becomes so difficult when you start your own practice is because it's all uncertain. You may have to quit your full-time job. You may have to go down to part-time. You've got to start this practice. You've got to put money towards your practice. You've got to do things that you're not used to doing. And there's a lot of uncertainty there. There's a lot of uncertainty. But I want you to listen up. I want you to listen to this one part. If you always feel like your life has to be perfect and scripted out and that you need to have all of the perfect things in place, if you are constantly telling yourself that, then I can guarantee you that you are not operating at the level of success that you could be. If you are constantly feeling like your life has to be perfect, planned out, scripted out, have all of the things perfectly put in front of you, if you always feel like that, I can guarantee you that you are not operating at the level of success that you possibly could be. I want you each to understand this. It took me a long time to understand this. But once I could get to a point in my life where I was okay with not knowing everything, I gave myself the permission to not know everything. To not know everything and not have everything lined up and perfect. To know that perfect doesn't exist. And so once I started to give myself the permission that, hey, Josh, like everything's not going to be perfect. You're going to learn things along the way. You're going to perfect your practice along the way. You're going to perfect your coaching business along the way. Once I started being okay with that, it allowed me to continue to push into the unknown. But if you continue to stay stuck with making sure things are perfect and never allowing yourself to progress forward because things need to be lined up and perfect, I'm telling you, you're limiting yourself. You are limiting yourself. Any type of change comes with a price. And I'm just going to tell you all, I don't want struggle, I don't wish struggle on anybody, but here's what I want to tell you guys. I hope that you have some struggles. I hope that you have some difficulties along the way because I want every single one of you to grow. I want every single one of you to grow and become the business owner that you need to be and continue to make a massive impact on our profession and a massive impact on your patients. But the only way that that's going to happen is if you have some difficulties and you have some struggles along the way. That's it. That's it. I had that conversation this past week, guys. And so that's why this is so fresh for me. And that's why there's so much emotion and so much passion spewing out of me right now. I was just told that again this week. Well, hey, maybe if it's difficult, you should just go back to doing what you're good at. And that's starting a concierge practice. And no. Just because it's difficult, I know that I've got a lot of physical therapists I need to help. And yeah, I know that it's not going to be perfect along the way, and I'm going to have some struggles along the way, making this a full-time position. I'm just being vulnerable for y'all. But guess what? I'm going to figure it out along the way because I've given myself a long time ago the permission to not have to freaking know everything, to not know everything, to figure it out along the way, to have those struggles, to have those difficulties, and to learn from them and continue to move forward. That's what I hope for every single one of you that listens to this message, is that you can give yourself the permission that everything is not always going to be okay. And not everything is going to be 100% perfect. And if you can start giving yourself that permission, you're going to be able to operate at a much, much higher level as a business owner and as a person. If things always have to be planned out, you're going to limit yourself. You're going to always constantly be limiting yourself. So I want you guys to understand, and I want you to learn from my two experiences. First, being told as a fresh, new concierge PT that, hey, maybe this isn't a good idea, Josh. I was told that 3.5 years ago, 4 years ago, whenever I started the practice. And we've since then make it an extremely successful practice. And now I've had as soon as this past week, have family members tell me, well, hey, from me telling them that, hey, this has been one of the most challenging things that I've done in my career so far. Oh my gosh, we don't want Josh to do a challenge. Well, Josh, maybe you should go back to doing what you've already proven to be successful. Nothing ever gets created or changed. No movements ever start by anybody not hitting some resistance and hitting some difficulties and some struggles along the way. If you guys really have something on your heart, I look at some of the people on here. Belisa, you have an immense amount of passion to help people with diabetes. I've been seeing everything that you've been putting out lately. You've got a ridiculous amount of passion to help people in your community on that level. You're going to hit some resistance. You're going to hit some struggles along the way, but you can't stop because you've experienced those challenges. And you can't stop because people tell you that it's a challenge and that you should go back to something that's easy. If you stop that, Belisa, you're not going to help hundreds of people to thousands of people in the future when you get out programs and different things that you lay out in the future to help people with diabetes. You're not going to be able to help people with that if you don't allow yourself the permission to not know everything and to continue to push forward. Colby just said, I just went down to part-time and I'm kind of freaking out. I'm not going to make enough money. I've been there, buddy. Colby, I get it, man. I get it 100%. I've been there in my life. I've been there multiple times. This is the thing. You have got to be okay with making less money right now. You've got to be okay with making less money right now as you look forward towards the future. You've got to be okay right now hitting a few speed bumps and maybe hitting a few months where you're like, oh, man, don't know how we're going to pay the bills. I've been there. I've had months where I had no idea how we were going to pay the bills when I first started my practice. You've got to be okay with it, Colby. And if you can be okay with it, you're going to be able to push yourself to levels that most people are not capable of going. That's what I want you guys to understand, is most people are not capable of going there because they're not willing to accept the fact that there's going to be challenges along the way. And if you can be the 1% who can actually accept the fact that you are going to have challenges and difficulties along the way, you're going to be able to launch yourself into absolutely unreal unknowns. And I can promise you that. If it doesn't challenge you, it won't change you. Gold and silver are refined in the fire. You got it, Amy, Jen. I love you guys. I've had my moments when I was second guessing, keeping faith that God will provide. You've got it. Like, that is the bottom line. To progress in any way, there will be struggle. You need to give yourself, starting today, that permission that everything is not going to be perfect. Everything is not going to be lined up. Perfect does not exist. And if you can give yourself that permission, you're going to have a lot of success in your future. Whether it's with finances, if it's, you don't feel adequate as a PT, you feel like you got to know this and that, and you don't have enough, certifications, whether it's that or whether you don't have a lot of success or a lot of experience being a cash physical therapist yet, whatever it may be for you, you've got to give yourself the permission to just push that aside and move forward, because the only way that you're going to grow, and I know this for a fact, the only way that you're going to grow is through experiencing those struggles and those difficulties. Guys, I have never met a single entrepreneur ever that has not experienced struggles and difficulties along the way. I haven't experienced a single story, like a single one. And so you have to accept it. And when you're going through those hard times, I want you to just smile to yourself and understand that you knew this was coming. But Lisa, you're kind of talking about it a little bit. I want you to just understand and smile to yourself. And obviously you're a believer, so keep the faith in God and smile to yourself and say, look, I should have known this was coming. I should have known difficulty was coming. I should have known challenges were coming. I should have known barriers were coming. I should have known obstacles were coming. It's really easy to be positive and faithful. Maybe we are getting into church, but whatever. It's really easy to be positive and faithful when everything's going your way. But when that is challenged is when you get the struggles, you get the obstacles that come into your life. What truly makes an amazing person is when you can keep the positivity and you can keep the faith as you continue to work through obstacles and different things that come up in your life. All right. I guess I took you guys to church tonight. I don't know. I didn't plan on that. I really didn't. I really did not. But I hope that helped you guys and helped you to understand that, first off, you're not alone. If you're experiencing some of those bumps in the road right now, if you're experiencing some of those obstacles right now, you're not alone. And I want you to just start becoming more comfortable in knowing that you can do this. Number one, I know that's cliche, but then number two, that everything doesn't have to be perfect for you to continue to have success. And guess what? One more thing is, how do you all want your story to end up? Honestly, when you really, really think about it, do you want your story to be, Tatiani or Jennifer, they started a business and they've just had immense levels of success, and that's the story. Or would you rather your story be this? Started a practice, wasn't as easy as you may thought it was, hit a lot of bumps along the way, but guess what? I grew into an entirely better person along that journey, and now I have an extremely successful practice. I think some of us might be tempted to say, I don't know, Josh, like I kind of want that first one. But let me tell you this, the second one will make you a much better person. And I've said this time and time again, that I feel like I've become a better person along my business journey because I've been tested time and time again. My wife and I have been tested time and time again. You know, I'll tell you guys this, like my second year in practice, things are rocking and rolling. You know, we're steamrolling this concierge game, like killing it. And in 1 year, this is getting deeper, guys. In 1 year, we have difficulties with the pregnancy. We had an early birth. Our son had to go into ICU and had to be put on oxygen. He was in ICU for 3 days, thank God, and be put on oxygen. He had to be put on oxygen for 3 months after that. Same year that we're having immense levels of success, we take our dog in because we felt like something was wrong, and we get told that our dog has 3 months to live and he has a rare heart condition, and we need to have emergency pacemaker placement, and the only place that we can do that is at Colorado State. This is all happening when I'm having immense levels of success in my business. So this message doesn't just apply to having success in your business, but this also applies to life. This is just what happens, guys. Like, life will test you along the way, and there's things that are going to pop up, but you've got to learn to be resilient and be able to push through those things. Year 2, we're kicking ass in the practice, but yet some of these extreme challenges come up in my life and my wife's life and our family's life. And we've got to find a way to continue to push through. If you can be okay from this point forward, that challenges are going to come your way, that struggles are going to come your way, that obstacles are going to come your way, if you can be okay with that, and be 100% okay with that, you are going to be able to operate at a much higher level and achieve much higher levels of success than you would if you're not okay with that. If you're not okay with that, this is what can happen. You start hitting some obstacles, you start hitting some challenges, you feel like you're about to get knocked out by all the challenges coming your way in your practice or even in your own life. That's when practices fail. That's when businesses fail. But if you can be okay with knowing that every single one of you is starting a practice for a reason, and you're being put on this road for a reason, and if you can be okay with hitting those obstacles and those different obstacles along the way on your path, if you can be okay with that, you're going to have a ton of success. A ton of success, because that is the part that a lot of people are not willing to go through. But here's the crazy thing, and I mentioned this already in the beginning of the video. The crazy thing is we don't want that to happen, but on the same thing, we can only grow as humans when we're thrown into the fire. We can only grow when we get those obstacles. We can only grow when we have things come up and we've got to improve our practice. We can only grow when things like that happen. And so the funny thing is, you have to have those things happen in order for you to grow. But at the same time, we don't want that. You've got to be willing to go through the struggles. And if you're in one right now, I want you to just understand and say, hey, I'm in one right now, but it's going to get a hell of a lot better because I'm in one right now. Because that's another thing that I've always learned is if you're going through one right now, there's always brighter days ahead. Always, 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 always. So it's something that my wife and I'll kind of end with this, is it's something that my wife and I do now, is when we get struggles in our own life, we're kind of conditioned ourselves to just look at each other and smile, even in tough times, and say, look, it's hard right now, but there must be some great things coming for us. You guys have an awesome night. Have an awesome, awesome night. Let me know what you guys think about this message, and go kick ass the rest of this week. You guys are awesome. Good night. See you guys.